Right, let's talk about the home team or the co-hosts in the West Indies. Bish, lots of expectation with the disappointment that the West Indian fans have had in the last few ICC men's events.
Oh, for sure. PNG, happy to see them in the T20 World Cup once again. They were unbeaten in their phase, their location in qualifying, but I think the full member nation should be a step too far, and the West Indies, being at home with all the power they have, should really look to not to disrespect PNG, but certainly to dominate them by following good processes and sort of being aggressive, because you can never tell whether those three little letters net run rate can come into play.
Especially in what we do believe is a tricky group whenever there's Afghanistan with two other test nations as well. Sanjay Manjrekar, Brian Lara said he's not worried about the West Indies, he's more worried about New Zealand. But are the West Indies the kind of team that need not be the worried team in a tricky group?
I'm not sure whether they're capable of worrying. I don't think it's a trait that I see, apart from one individual who does commentary for West Indies and is part of our panel. Most West Indians that I've come across are free-spirited, happy, and are not, look at him.
Talking about you, Bish.
So there you go. So I don't see West Indies getting too worried about it. And he's absolutely right, Brian Lara. New Zealand is the team that's got to be worried, because I see West Indies actually as one of the dark horses of this T20 World Cup. They won it twice, and I love the look of that West Indies team. Bish has mentioned it as a powerhouse with the batting, but the bowling as well. There's some spark there too.
I'll come to the bowling in a second, but I'm sure we are all tempted to look forward to Nicholas Pooran at the back of not just his recent IPL, but his T20 cricket in the last 2 years. He's had more sixes than anybody else since the 2022 edition of this tournament. Bish, is it fair to say that Pooran is number one X-factor player who could have a big tournament, or could we see a surprise in some of the other batters who perhaps didn't get a lot of IPL game time actually lead the West Indies power batting charge?
You can never tell whether someone like a Brandon King puts up his hand and dominates a tournament, or Rothman Powell comes to life, Sheffield Rutherford. But on form, as you mentioned, given the way that Nicholas Pooran has matured, whether that is in franchise cricket or whether that is international cricket, the way that he is played with great awareness of situations, not just his six-hitting ability, but his ability to segue through different situations and carry the mantle of the lead batter has been impressive in the last couple of seasons. So my eyes and many eyes will certainly be focused on Nicholas Pooran to try to dominate a World Cup.
We expect the West Indies to hit sixes and get big scores is almost a given in their home conditions. Let's talk about the bowling point that you mentioned. Look at the options. Now, Andre Russell, the bowler, came to the party in the IPL. However, the likes of Alzarri Joseph, Romario Shepherd, Shamar Joseph all had very limited game time.
McCoy.
You have Obed McCoy as a replacement to Jason Holder, and you have spin in the form of Akil Hussain, Gurukesh Moti, and Roston Chase. Does that seem like a well-rounded bowling attack to you?
A team that has seriously good sort of 6 or 7 bowling options will always have an advantage where one of their pure bowlers goes to the cleaners, so they won't be derailed with their approach. And that is where, again, West Indies have these people like Andre Russell. What is the greatest thing about Russell this season was he was bowling.
Bish, on that note, though, their batting has a number of match winners. Does their bowling have match winners?
The bowling needs work is the way that I will put it, because we've got the names Alzarri Joseph, who's been around for quite a few years now, but his bowling form has not been where it needs to be in the last couple of years in this format of the game. Romario Shepherd, I've mentioned it before, his batting is his unique selling point, but he can still, even though his bowling has become better in the last, let's say, 16 months, it's still on and off. So you're looking at Gurukesh Moti, who had a wonderful series against South Africa recently. Akil Hussain as someone, if the two left-arm spinners play together, to give it some control, although he needs to pick his form up. Obed McCoy has been, he got into the team quite recently, but he was out of it because his form had been so poor. Russell has been a constant across the IPL, and Chase has been solid. So the bowling, I would say, has work to do if the West Indies are to be considered in the minds of others one of those teams that can challenge for the title?
Yeah, there's no bowling star as such, but because they have so many nice options to go to, they'll be able to manage their bowling. It's not like it's a real weak side of that West Indies batting lineup. And as far as Alzari is concerned, I've got to be a little, fair to all these fast bowlers who are bowling at 140 plus. Most of them are becoming quite expensive. You see Mark Wood, for example, Lockie Ferguson, all those guys, whose pace was their great strength because of the kind of shots that get played with, these daredevil young batters. All of them are struggling a bit. So come the World Cup, I don't think you'll see the audacity of shot making that we see in franchise cricket.
Introducing the epic new Swift. Time to go swifting.